Well, good morning, guys and ladies. It is April 31st, Sunday, and today I am out here working on my trolling motor. So guys, I don't know if you noticed in my last video where I was fishing in the tournament how my trolling motor just tends to go back and forth and back and forth and back, and just drove me absolutely insane. So today I'm out here playing with a heading sensor and moving it around on the boat and seeing if that helps my spot lock out. It seems to be helping a little bit. Verdict's still out. We'll see how it goes today during the day. But while I'm out here, of course, I'm gonna look around and see if I can catch a few crappie. So guys, let's talk a little bit about crappie movements. So I get a lot of people that ask me, how I find these crappie and how I stay on them all the time, and specifically, quite a few people ask me where I found the fish in the tournament. So let's talk a little bit about it. I think a lot of beginners, miss the whole understanding fish and their movements. And guys, I can't say how important that really is. I mean, that is your Bible. That's how you keep track of pretty much all the fish you're fishing for on the lake. We all kind of know that in the springtime the fish go to the banks to spawn, but we don't always have a good idea where they go in between those times. So I'm gonna break it down for you guys. So listen up, listen close, because we're gonna tell you what to do. So we'll start with the late winter, early spring. So these crappie in the winter time, they're gonna start their migration back into coves and creeks and pockets and shallow protected water where they can spawn. And when they do that, they're all busted up. They're not schooled up. They're just fish here, fish there, fish here. They're just scattered all over the lake. I mean, it's like they just go every direction, and there'll be one here, one there, and one here. So the trick during that time of year is to find an area that has fish. You're not looking for schools of fish, at least not on my lakes. Now maybe it's different up in the northern lakes, but I can't speak to those. But down here, those fish will scatter out, and they will go up in shallower water. When I say shallow water, I mean like 10 feet and less. And they'll do their thing. They'll they'll go up and spawn, and they'll spread out and spawn in different places, and just kind of spread out all over the place. And they can travel a pretty good ways to spawn too. Now, as the spawn winds on, that'll usually run, from down here. It'll start in, they'll start that migration in late February a lot of times, and by March and April they're spawning. They're up in shallow water, and they're spawning. They're way away from the creek channels. If you get out in the creek channels and fish in that deep water, you're going to catch crappie, but it's going to be little hand-sized crappie. And I believe that those are fish that don't spawn, and they'll just stay out there, and they'll school up, in the spring, and you can find them and catch them. They're just not very big. That's not the great big ones you're looking for. Now, as that spawn winds down, and those fish go into what we call transition. When they're going in to spawn, they're in transition, and when they're coming out to spawn, they're in transition. And what that means is those fish are still scattered. Some spawn, some don't spawn. They haven't schooled back up, and they're still just scattered to the wind. They're just everywhere. It's real hard to find fish on a side scan that time of year. A lot of times I'm looking for my fish during that time of year on my down scan, and I'm not looking for schools. I'm just looking for an area close to where they would spawn, where I'm seeing dot, 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 maybe 3 little dots together. If I start seeing fish scattered, I'll fish that area. And there'll be areas that won't have any fish, and if that doesn't work, sometimes I'll just get on the closest 10-foot water next to shorelines near creeks and bays where they would spawn, and I just start looking for them with a live scope. Now, as they transition back out, they're still going to be scattered. They're going to be scattered everywhere, but they are making their move to start heading back out towards deep water where they're going to be comfortable. And they'll come out of these creeks and coves and stuff, and they'll come out onto the first deep water that has the best cover on it. So if you can find big brush piles and big laydowns and things like that up on flats close, not too far offshore, let's say 10 to 12 feet deep, If you can find that, that is where you'll find a crappie. Now that's what I did in the tournament on Lake Talquin to win that tournament yesterday. Is I got out there and I got up on big flats, and guys, you know, no secret here. My strategy was I targeted flats that I never see people fish. I was looking for those rare schools of fish way up on big flats, way away from the creek channel, way away from anywhere people typically go to look for fish, because I wanted to find where some fish had started gathering up. And the schools aren't very big this time of year. You're lucky if you find a school that has 20 or 30 fish in it. But those fish are headed there, and they're kind of like bus stops on their way out to the channel. And that's what I was looking for. I got up on big flats and looked for down timber and stuff on those flats. And sometimes I would only see a couple of crappie on those spots with my side scan, but then when I got up on them with the live scope, you could see those fish. A lot of times they'd be down under trees and stuff, and that's what I did, and that's what I targeted. That's where I was finding my bigger fish. Now there was some fish out on the edge of the channels too, but they were smaller fish. And you know, the other kind of places that they'll gang up real heavy after the spawn is on points. So when they start coming out of these creeks and stuff, they love to gang up on any structure that's on points. You don't see my boat going back and forth behind me, so I guess my new placement of my my heading sensor didn't make any difference, but I'm gonna fix it eventually. It may just be the way these things are. They may just not be that accurate, but it's obviously lost. It seems to have lost its position now because I'm drifting. But anyway, those points, and there was a lot of fish on Talquin on points. The problem is they were 10.5, 11-inch fish. They just weren't those great big ones. Were not the ones I'm looking for. Now those fish will pull out. Look at there. It finally figured out it drifted off. Ooh, that's a big change. That kind of stuff just drives you nuts. But they'll pull out and they'll start ganging up on these spots, and they're going to start making their way out to deeper water. Now, early in the summer, a lot of times there's no thermocline yet, which means those fish can come out. They can come out and get pretty much anywhere in deep water they want to get. They can get deep if they wanted to. They can get on the edge of the drop-offs if they want to. They can just hang out on the flats. What I tend to find is they still hang out not too far from where they spawn on those flats, but they'll be moving out to the river channels for the summertime. And when they get out on the edge of the river channels and out on the edge of the big flats and out on deeper flats, they're going to school up, guys. They're going to school up in big schools, big thick schools, and they will typically stay there almost the entire summer. Now they may move around to different parts of the lake and follow the bait fish around, and you know, stay on one piece of cover for a while, move to another good piece of cover, but the general area is going to stay, the general kind of places is going to stay the same, and those fish are going to stay schooled up in big schools all summer long until the fall. Now come fall, usually down here somewhere around Thanksgiving or sometime in November, we're going to get a big cold front. Those water temperatures are going to drop down, and when they hit about the low 60s, those fish that are schooled up on those places all summer, they're going to bust up and haul butt. And where they're going to go is they're going to go to places where they can comfortably spend the winter. And that's going to mean busting up into little tiny groups and, you know, some bigger schools and individual fish, and going straight into the river channel. Some of them will, if they're near big deep creeks that are protected, a lot of them will go up in creeks. You see all the guys catching crappie in creeks in the wintertime because they will go into those creeks to winter in those creeks. Even if the bait's not there, they'll still go in those creeks in the winter. They don't always stay schooled. They won't stay schooled up too long though. As it moves on into the winter time, the schools start busting up. Now you can find schools in creeks, but usually out in the river channel, they're going to be busted up, and they'll suspend in those river channels where they got that deep water under them, where they can, you know, regulate their temperature, and they can go deeper on cold days or whatever they need to do. And as we wind through that winter time, those fish in all those places, as the water starts to warm, they're going to start making their way back towards those coves, and that's when you're going to get into transition time again, where it gets hard to find them. When they're moving, they don't always move in a big school from one good spot to the next spot. They'll just scatter. They'll scatter and just swim wherever they want to swim, and they'll start moving and getting close to those places they're going to spawn. and then they're going to stage up. So guys, keep that in mind when you're out looking for crappie. That'll give you a clue as to where you should be looking, what to expect that time of year. All right, so guys, hang with me. We're gonna pill around, catch a few fish. I did find schools. So out here on Lake Seminole, these fish are in transition too, guys, and they'll transition at different times on different parts of the lake. And I'm out here today just to see if they're starting to show up on the offshore spots, and I did find a little school of them here. I'm not expecting them to be the great big ones, but you know, I've been looking around a little bit this morning, and they're not real thick. At least not on I'm on the Flint side today, and I haven't seen them very thick, and I've been a lot of small fish, but I do see, you know, where there's starting to be a few here and a few there. So they're definitely moving. They're definitely making their way back out, and it'll get good to me. I know a lot of guys don't crappie fish in the summertime, but that is one of my favorite times of the year to fish. It's easy fishing. You got big schools. It's just a good time to catch them. You guys hang with me. We'll see if we can catch a few fish today. That's a nice crappie. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a nice crappie. Good gosh. Well, there's a few big ones have made it out here. A big old stud Lake Seminole crappie. Woo. Nice. Man. From stud to dink. That just goes to show you guys that fish are just in transition. They're scattered, they're mixed up. Just a little guy. Same spot we just caught that monster. Oh, and an in-betweener. This is a nice fish. It's a good eating size fish right here. Beautiful. Crappie are pretty fish. Oh, watch out. Didn't look that big, but he was heavier than I thought he was when I went to pick him up out of the water. How about that, guys? One school the fish wouldn't bite on at all. Of course, you know, I was spot locked down telling you guys about where to look for them, so they figured out I was there while I was doing that. But there we go. Crappie moving out to the edge of deep water. Missed him. There it again. That was better. Yeah. Ooh, jumper. nice fish there. That's getting more up in the range. Boys, old fish on Seminole got some big old mouths on them. Maybe they have to eat bigger shad out here. Nice crappie. Beautiful fish. Well, they sure look healthy after the spawn. Don't look beat up at all. Oh, that feels good. Oh yeah. He's not as big as he was fighting, but he's a nice fish. Oh, watch out. Come on now, I'm gonna let you go. Today's your lucky day. I'm not eating crappie today. Got meatloaf. There we go. So guys, when I got out here, I noticed the water out here had cleared up quite a bit. And we got a good 3 or 4 feet of visibility out here. So I went with that little baby shad in a pumpkin seed green back with the pearl bottom. That thing looks exactly like a natural shad, and it seems to be doing pretty good. Yes, sir. Man, I love it when they get offshore and get schooled up, and just so fun, and a good way to just have some fun. And guys, I know I don't talk about it a lot, but you know, as live scope gets more and more prevalent, and more people like me teach everybody how to do this, you know, guys, have a little respect for the crappie populations when you do this. I know the biologists claim that you can't catch them all, but you know, if I had a nickel for every time the government was wrong, I'd be a rich man. So you know, if you see me, I can tell you guys, I got me and my wife and 2 16-year-old kids, and those big crappie, we can eat 10 of those with leftovers for a day. So, you know, keep that in mind when you go out and catch them. You know, unless you just only get to go once a year and you need to put some in the freezer, you know, turn a few loose, guys. You know, once you learn how to do it, it's not hard to get out on a pretty day and catch a mess to eat when you want a mess to eat, and then you don't have to freeze them and let them go bad in the freezer. But you know, hey, if you want to keep crappie, I got no problem with that at all. I'm just saying, you know, don't go out and try to catch every single one of them in the lake and take them all home. Let's let a few live to spawn every year. Oh, that looks like a good one on the screen. Yes, sir. That crappie's still dark colored. Almost looks like a male crappie, but man, if that's a male, that is a big male crappie. He sure got his colors on. How about that? That's a 1.75 pound male crappie. Jeez, that's a big one. got him. Ooh, yes sir. Oh my goodness, yes sir, buddy. Man, what a big old nice fish. What a big old stud crappie. Oh my goodness. Oh yes sir, look at that big old rascal. Man. Big old giant crappie. God, I love catching those things. Oh, we got him this time. We got him this time. Looking at it, oh, you look big one too. You gotta go eat it. Oh, got that one. Oh, yes sir, buddy. Oh my goodness. Gosh, what a crappie. Gosh, a big old mouth coming up. Oh, yes sir. Gosh, what a freaking stud crappie. That big old rascal. That's a 2-pound crappie there. Heck yeah. Man, I like catching them big rascals. Ooh, that's a big old crappie. Ooh. And he's a fighter. There was another big old stud. That big old rascal. Man, he was a fighter too. Another nice big stud of a crappie. Alright guys and ladies, we caught enough of those big old rascals for a little while. I'm going to enjoy a little bit of the day. We're supposed to get some rain coming in here for too long. It's going to run me off the lake this afternoon, so I'm going to take this opportunity to go out and do me a little scouting so we can get on some more big crappie on another weekend. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the water next weekend.